I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege.
You know, you have that pressure, you have the pressure of performing, you have the pressure of everybody in the outside world watching you, but...
You women out there, y'all petty, man.
Over the past year, we started making more content on the WNBA, and while in the very beginning it was pretty negative, more recently it's been getting positive. People actually care about the WNBA now, and it's pretty freaking awesome. It's like a whole different angle of my channel that I never thought I'd ever get into, but it's here. People care about the WNBA, and when it's at its peak, women's basketball is freaking awesome. And you don't have to be a genius to know why. It's Caitlin Clark. The woman is marketable, the woman's very talented at basketball, which is bizarre to me. So we have a lot to talk about in this video. Before we get to the content, check if you're subscribed. We are 80,000 subscribers away from 1 million subscribers. Let me know in the comment section down below what we should give away to celebrate 1 million subscribers. I want to do something special for you guys, but I'm a terrible gift giver. And now that we get all of that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The WNBA has had a long history of problems. The first problem was the fact that no one cared about the WNBA, primarily because the product was relatively boring. As a result, WNBA players didn't get paid very much because their games didn't make a lot of money. Their season was about 3 to 4 months long tops. It was considered a celebration whenever someone dunked in the middle of a game. The games were relatively slow paced, and as a result, the NBA had to subsidize this league in order to keep it going, hoping one day the league's version of Michael Jordan will arrive, someone that could be propped up as the person that gets people to be interested in the WNBA. And believe me, they've tried in the past. Earlier on, you would see players like Candace Parker, Sue Bird, and Diana Taurasi try to get people to be interested in the WNBA. More recently, you saw players like Sabrina Ionescu hoping to become the Steph Curry of the WNBA. And through it all, these young women had to deal with the fact that they weren't getting paid a lot of money and the fact that no one cared about their product. You guys remember when Shaq recommended lowering the rim to Candace Parker? Look at how annoyed she looked.
So in beach volleyball, the women's net is maybe half an inch lower. You think if we just lower the rim so y'all could dunk like we dunk, that'll give y'all more oomph than you already have?
No.
I mean, because listen, y'all are doing the step backs, the pull back. Y'all doing everything we're doing, but I don't see a lot of people going up with 2 hands and, you know, back.
Oh, it's coming.
And it seemed like every NBA legend just suggested this to a WNBA star.
People that don't watch WNBA basketball, what can we do to get those fans to tune in? And I was like, why can't we lower the goal to at least 9.5 feet? Because I think for somebody that don't watch WNBA basketball, to have women dunking on other women would definitely bring more excitement to that game and have those guys that don't watch WNBA basketball tune in, and you get more fans that way.
And this was, of course, also explained to Nneka Aglumake, and she really took offense to it.
Do you think that the game will get more watch if the rims were a little bit shorter?
I'm very glad you asked this, because this is probably one of the most offensive questions you can ask a WNBA player. We're constantly being compared to men. We have people excelling at a 10-foot rim, and now you want us to lower the rim so we can continually be compared, only to still be criticized to appease people who don't want to watch it for what it is.
But I think the one thing that drove me the craziest was the fact that Kelsey Plum decided to come out here and say, you know what, guys? We deserve more money. Yeah, it's kind of messed up that I don't get a percentage of my jersey sales despite the NBA taking a net loss on us each and every year just to keep us in business. The fact that the WNBA has been around throughout all these years is literally like the NBA donating to charity. That's the most simplistic way to look at it. But Kelsey Plum went out and said this.
In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue shared for the players, right? So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts. You see these every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's one of those things that we are not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay,
For sure. Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's crazy.
No way.
So that's why it's like
Image and likeness.
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
Now, there's one simple way to solve this problem. You need to have a star that people care about. A person that is pretty much the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. That'll get people in seats. That'll cause the WNBA to make more revenue. And that person was none other than Caitlin Clark. She was fast. She was electric. She could shoot the lights out. The woman could just flat out ball. But she also talked trash and had this really awesome beef with Angel Reese. And that's what catapulted both of them into fame. And it was pretty awesome, especially considering the fact that Caitlin Clark lost the first time that these two met, and she would end up getting revenge this past year before getting drafted to the Indiana Fever. But even when she got drafted to the Indiana Fever, there was controversy that followed. Caitlin Clark wasn't getting paid very much money. Hell, even Joe Biden hated it. You know you're in some shit whenever the president of the United States comments on your salary. He said, right now we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not being paid their fair share. And this is despite her dressing up in Prada for the WNBA draft, which has never been done before. The fact that she was working on a $76,000 salary is something that relaunched the conversation about the pay disparity between WNBA players and their male counterparts in the NBA. But at the end of the day, one league is profitable, one league isn't, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's something you can be excited for. Plus, Caitlin Clark also got this incredible shoe deal with Nike where she's getting paid $20 million, and their ad for her was awesome. So she's definitely leveraging this spotlight to get herself a bag, but also she's hooking up the entire WNBA. But the way that she's doing it kind of drives me crazy. You'll see Jamil Hill complain about the fact that A'ja Wilson, who is a two-time league MVP, two-time WNBA champion, a two-time defensive player of the year, the finals MVP, a five-time WNBA All-Star, and a best-selling author, not get a shoe deal, but Caitlin Clark did. Someone also pointed out the fact that Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, and Brianna Stewart all have signature shoes. And immediately after complaining, A'ja Wilson got a huge deal with Gatorade. So it's not like Caitlin Clark is only hooking herself up, she's hooking up her peers. I'm sure you guys have seen this. It seemed like the moment Caitlin Clark was ready to play games for the Indiana Fever, all of a sudden WNBA players were taking chartered flights. And I'll tell you why this pisses me off so much, because originally you had Kelsey Plum complaining about the amount of money she was making and the fact that she wanted a bigger cut. You had the entire world complaining about how women weren't getting paid their fair share and how Caitlin Clark was only getting paid $76,000. But the thing is, if you just decide not to take chartered flights to your games, you could pay all of these players almost double their salaries. It's actually insane that this is a thing. No, literally, like every WNBA team will start using charter flights to travel to games by May 21st. The league made the announcement Thursday, following through on plans to commit $50 million over the next 2 years to provide full-time charter flight service for its teams during the season. You have to admit, this is kind of ridiculous. But at the very minimum, we could at least make an argument that, hey, at least the women are more comfortable, and that's great, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense here. To give you an idea, the entire WNBA salary is $18 million a year, so the fact that $25 million is being used to charter flights, to me, it's not something that I'm willing to move on from so easily, but I'll do my best now. At least you could make an argument that Caitlin Clark's presence is making WNBA players more comfortable, so they would have a lot of gratitude towards her, right? I mean,
thank you, Caitlin Clark, for making people give a shit about our league that no one cared about before, right?
Well, here's how she's being treated in games. It seems like players are literally trying to end her career prematurely, and that's not the only instance of it. You would think women would be celebrating the fact that Caitlin Clark is successful, that she's going into a sport that was considered to be a man's sport, a sport that NBA legends were recommending lowered the rim so women could dunk finally, and she's starting to dominate in it, and she's making it entertaining for the masses. So women should be celebrating this, right? Well, that's not what this one person has to say.
I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. Part of it is about race. Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white.
So let me get this straight. Not only are you ungrateful for the fact that Caitlin Clark is making people care about the WNBA, but you're attempting to discredit her achievements, and you're criticizing her for being white and straight, which, with all due respect, I don't mean to bring race into this, but Sunny Hostin did. Since when has being white ever been an advantage in basketball? I mean, the WNBA is 70% black, for crying out loud. And the craziest part of all is the Indiana Fever are struggling throughout this year so far, and as they should. They have the #1 overall pick in this past year's WNBA draft. But Jamel Hill is also on Caitlin Clark, and it makes no sense to me. We would all be very naive if we didn't say race and her sexuality played a role in her popularity. While so many people are happy for Caitlin's success, including the players, this has had such an enormous impact on the game. Yeah, Caitlin, why aren't you black and like making out with women, huh? Why do you have to be straight, white, and good at basketball? Oh, the horror. That's the reason why people care about the WNBA now. I just really hate when people pull out these cards. I just wish we could sit back and appreciate talent when we see it. Do we ever say, hey, Victor Wembanyama is black, that's why he's being drafted #1 overall? Do we ever say the reason why LeBron James is so successful is because he's straight? I just wish people could sit back and realize the achievement that Caitlin Clark has done. And she's not having a good time doing it, by the way. I mean, her team is still winless, and Caitlin Clark even acknowledges that she has the most pressure out of any WNBA rookie ever.
She thinks you've faced more pressure than any WNBA rookie ever. I was wondering, A, if you can speak to that pressure at all, and B, if you've had any conversations with Sue at all and what those have been like, if so.
Yeah, I think there's definitely pressure, but I mean, I don't think it's any different than the stuff I faced in college, and then coming in here, like obviously I know there's going to be pressure, and I mean, our goal every single night we come into these games, we come in expecting to win, so you know, you have that pressure, you have the pressure of performing, you have the pressure of everybody in the outside world watching you, but I think it's something you embrace, and you know, maybe it's a little different and new for the other girls in this organization or the coaches in this organization, but I think everybody's done a really good job of just accepting that's what it is.
So far, it seems like Angel Reese is having a much nicer career than Caitlin Clark, and she's definitely continuing this rivalry into the WNBA, where she tweeted, and that's on getting a win in a packed area, not just because of one player on our charter flight, #Skytown. And I honestly think this part's hilarious. Angel Reese also posted this onto her story, just praying that this is one of the last commercial flights the Chicago Sky has to fly. Like Breezy said, practicing gratitude and patience as the league introduces charter flights for all teams. The inefficiency of the investment of money is just driving me a little nuts here, but hell, fine. If you're happy to cut your paycheck in half for these charter flights, then more power to you. Even LeBron James has something to say about the amount of hate Caitlin Clark is receiving.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy, you know, but I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills. I hope Aaliyah Boston does amazing. You know, I hope they do great. You know, I'm just kind of in this mode right now because I'm getting the same, you know, thing from watching my son, who's a 19-year-old, kind of getting a lot of animosity and hatred towards him when he's just a kid trying to live out his dream. You know, there's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulder.
And NBA legend Charles Barkley, thank goodness, was the voice of reason here.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished, give her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there. She got y'all ass charters. She bringing all y'all this money to the table, but y'all being petty like dudes. LeBron, you are 100% right. Y'all girls, stop being petty. Caitlin Clark, thank you for bringing all that money and shine to the WNBA.
Well, they're gonna hate you. But of course, upon hearing this, former WNBA players and current WNBA players called out Charles Barkley. Dearica Marie Hamby said, seriously, what the f are you talking about? John Quell Jones said, interested to know who are all the women that are hating on Caitlin Clark. I'm seeing a lot of coverage about it, but I don't see the hate. I'm also not a big comment reader, so I might have missed it. And shout out to Chinea Wnba because she actually answered one of my big questions here. Here's why the WNBA is starting to charter flights, and she also claps back at Charles Barkley. The first tweet is, there are two key incidents where Caitlin Clark was criticized. Sherelle Swoops was wrong on major facts, and she apologized to her privately. Diana Taurasi pointed out that all rookies struggle in the W, and no one is immune. It wasn't hate, it was Diana being Diana. If you know, you know. Also, charter flights were actually first deployed last year during the women's postseason because 1, safety and increasing number of star players, and 2, revenue trends are starting to support it. W has quickly gone from $60 million in 2019 to over $200 million in 2023 on a $1 billion valuation. At the end of the day, the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark's rise is so entertaining to watch, but I personally don't understand why people would hate the fact that this woman is bringing a spotlight to a league that people didn't really care about before, and now it's starting to explode as a result of it, and you're seeing creators cover it more and people are more interested, and it's a lot of fun. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Do you think Caitlin Clark's popularity is because she's straight and is white? Let me know in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.